Hello, Caleb's Creek Elementary School. It's State Representative Ashton Clemens, and I am so honored to be invited to be part of your back to school kickoff staff meeting. I know that the theme is Keep Pounding, so I have on my Luke Kuechly Carolina Panthers jersey, which is very 2020 because he's no longer at the Panthers, which is sad. And we don't even know what football season is going to look like. But that's pretty apropos for how you all feel, I know, and so much of what's happened in our state, and particularly for our school children. And so we're going to wear our Luke Kuechly jerseys and keep pounding. So I love that that's the theme for the year, and I'm happy to be with you to kick that off. Your assistant principal asked me to give some encouraging words. And I am a state representative now, but in my heart, I am a teacher. I taught kindergarten, first and second grade before becoming a principal, elementary school principal for 8 years. And then I worked in central office a little bit before I joined the General Assembly. And I am now working on education policy at the state level. And I know you're assistant principal from some of that time, and she asked me to speak a while ago to a group of teachers and then asked me to share some of those thoughts with you all today. And one of the things that I spoke to the teachers about was a story that for me exemplified who teachers are and why I believe so passionately about our public schools and their role in making the world that we really think that there should be. I was, a part of my time, I worked as a coach with teachers. And so I'm going to tell a story, and this story is a teacher story, but it's also about the power of what you all do every day for our children. So as a coach, I was asked to model a new guided reading lesson format for teachers and how to do instruction in guided reading. And so there were 20 teachers who were going to watch me do this modeled lesson. And the guinea pig students were fifth graders who were having to miss their recess time, PE class, to come and sit with me and do an extra guided reading lesson. And I was someone that they didn't know. I had just come in. So you all can already imagine how thrilled they were for me to be with them instead of getting to go to PE to do extra reading, someone that they didn't know. They were not happy to be there. And so I sat down at the kidney-shaped table, and there were me, 5 students, and 20 teachers watching me to learn their new guided reading model or to have an example of it. And so I thought, okay, well, this is going to be a challenge. And I said, quickly to them, guys, I know you want to get to PE. I want you to get to PE. I have to model this for your teachers. So let's work together, do it quickly, and then we'll be able to move on. And you guys can get to PE, and we can do what we need to do. Well, for 3 of the 5 students, they were like, okay, and they kind of went along with it. One of the other students kind of begrudgingly came along. And then there was the 5th student, Jesse. And Jesse, I got the backstory later, for lots of reasons that he has absolutely no control over, has a lot of reasons to be skeptical that people are looking out for his best interest. And Jesse represents, to me, our best opportunities as educators, because the children who are most depending on us are the reasons I went into being a teacher. And so Jesse sat across the table from me, and his eyebrows were furrowed and his arms were crossed, and he was not having my guided reading lesson. So I continued on. The lesson was on inferences, and I did the lesson, encouraged the kids, and I turned them over to start doing the independent reading where I was going to conference with every kid. And I got up from where I was sitting at the kidney table, and I walked around beside Jesse, and I whispered in his ear, and I said, Jesse, I know that you want to be at PE, and I know that you don't want to do this, but I also know that you are smart and that you cannot not learn. You have to learn because you're smart and you can do this. And I'm here to help you, and I want you to get to PE. And as soon as we do what we need to do, you can do that. And so I wish that I could say to you, he said, okay, Miss Clemens, let's do that. No, he kept his arms crossed, ignored me. So I went on to a couple of the other students and was sat back down, was reading with some of the other kids. And I didn't want Jesse to feel like I was going to give up on him. Just as none of our children deserve to have adults who give up on them. So I got back up from my seat. I went back around the table and I flipped to a page in the book. It was a fiction book that had a tiger character on it. And I pulled the book to Jesse and I said, Jesse, right now we're working on inferences. Look at this tiger. What can you tell me about him? So he kind of tripped his eyes shut, slid it to him, and he said, he's aggressive. I said, Jesse, what makes you say that he's aggressive? He said, his teeth are clenched. And those are the moments educators look for. Because in that moment, because we don't give up on kids, Jesse got to show us who his best self is. I said, Jesse, that is a brilliant inference you just made. Would you share that with the whole group when it's time to share? So he kind of sat up a little bit and he said, yeah, I guess. He kept reading. We came back together. Now, all of that conversation had been whispering in his ear. So no one really knew what we had said. I sat down at the table and I said, guys, Jesse has an inference he's going to share with us. Well, the kids in the group looked at him like, what? The adults even were surprised. And then Jesse said, my inference is that the tiger was aggressive. And I knew that because in the text, his teeth were clenched. And in that moment, Jesse got to be the best version of himself. And other people saw the best version of himself. And the educators saw the best version of Jesse. And we as educators get to try and make those moments every single minute of every single day we're with kids. And you have the awesome opportunity to have a pattern of those moments for a child that helps them and other people see the best versions of who they are. And there could be nothing more important than any of us could do with our lives. I've been thinking a lot about what is it going to look like in this time to get up, walk around the table to our students, proverbially, because many of it is going to be through technology, and not give up, not let kids give up, and figure out new ways to help children become their best selves. I could have done that guided reading lesson and sent Jesse away and said, I'm not going to work with you, I'm going to work with the other 4 students. I could have let him sit there and ignore it the whole time. He wasn't disrupting anyone. But educators are about not letting any kid go. Not any moment missed. And if there were ever a time where that work is more critical than ever, it is now. Because so many of our children have been waiting for you since March. They have been waiting to feel that relationship, that belief that I can be better, that I can do and learn new things. And you get the awesome responsibility of showing them what that looks like when so much else around them is falling apart. They don't get to be with their friends. Many of their families are struggling to have food on the table in a way they haven't. Many of their family or parents are sick. They haven't seen their grandparents. They didn't get to do soccer. So much of who they are has left them. And that means for every kid, we're going to have to listen, learn, and figure out what we need to do to get up and walk around the table. Because our world, whenever we can be back together again, is going to need kids who still developed the best of who they are. And I'm so proud to have been a teacher, to get to spend a minute with you who get this great job this year to figure out what it's going to take to bring out the moments, like with Jessie, of who our children are really meant to be. Keep pounding, do that important hard work, dig deep, and know that we are here supporting you, and people are praying, loving, and sending all kinds of best wishes to teachers and educators and families across our state. I wish I could send you virtual chocolate or cakes or donuts. If I were a school principal, that's probably what I would be doing. But in reality, y'all are educators because you are going to keep doing what it takes to get our kids what they need, whatever that looks like. And our world, our state, our community is better for it. And I, for one, am grateful for all that you have done and will do for the Jessies, for the Letty, Briggs, and Beck, who are my 3 children who will be starting school next week, and for all of our children. Thank you. Keep pounding. Go Panthers. Have a good year.